Story means storehouse. It's where everything that is forgotten falls back into. And stories are used to remember exactly those things that we keep forgetting. One of the ways of understanding the darkness of the times is the fact that we live fallen from story, or the stories have fallen away from us, and we don't have shared stories anymore, at least not stories that are shared deeply enough that they can make sense out of all the division and all the damage and all the dissipation of things. So I want to tell one of these old myths. In the modern world, myth means false. They call it just a myth. But the word itself means emergent truth. Myths are a series of lies that tell the truth. You knew that. And all those people that claim to tell the truth are telling lies. I'm thinking of Election Day. The Tree of Life is one of the ancient mythic images, one of the deepest and most unifying images, just to say something about it. It appears in many forms and can be found wherever and whenever people manage to find the center of life again, if only for a moment. As center point, the tree remains eternally still, yet as the living, breathing tree of life, it presents a core image of constant change. That's the dichotomy. That's the mystery of it. Completely still, constant change. It grows repeatedly from the same unseen roots. By the way, the word truth and the word tree come from the same roots, etymologically. The tree of life is rooted in the imagination of the human soul, also in the living soul of the world, and in the old soul of humankind, where it must be nourished by dreams and longings, nourished by songs and dances that make things whole, if only for a moment. Each return to the tree at the center becomes a return to the origins of life, and thus can become a renewal of the world. The tree of life is called the paradise tree and the tree of imagination. It is the tree of fertility and also the family tree. It's the tree of ascent and descent, where the shamans seek for the heights of spirit and for the depths of soul. It's the tree of sacrifice, for there is no unity that can be made except that a sacrifice be done first. It is a tree of death. It's also the hanging tree and the tree of enlightenment. It's called the tree of life and death. It's the tree of the Sundance, the tree of the cross, for the cross is the tree of life without the leaves and flowers and most of the branches. It's the otherworld tree. It's the tree behind all trees. It's the Bodhi tree of stillness, where Buddha broke through the spell of the world and found enlightenment. And it's the cosmic pillar that the shaman climbs in the ecstatic trances that renew the heavens. It's the Christmas tree in the midst of winter darkness, and the cross on which all saviors hang. It's the hollow center of the Navajo reed of life, and the mast on which Ulysses was tied and remains bound. It's the tree of the ancestors. It's the white tree of peace, and it's the tree of knowledge and evil, which is really the beginning of the search that ends in the tree of life, which stands in the center of paradise, which is rooted deep in the human soul, waiting to be awakened again and again. There's an old myth that says when a child is born, the sisters of fate take the great earthen urn in which are little chips of wood chipped off of the roots of the trees of life. And on the backside of each chip is a divine word, and they shake this big earthen urn and they roll out, and whatever chip comes out first becomes the lot in life for that person being born. In other words, lottery comes from the lot that comes from the chips that are from the roots of the tree of life, and we are all chips off the old universal block of light. And once you realize that, you can even have a chip on your shoulder. as long as it's about justice and beauty. And that divine word on the underside of the chip is the word that was at the beginning. Remember, in the beginning was the word. And in the beginning of each life is a word that resonates in the soul. Not a single word, but the beginning of a language, which is the story trying to come out of each person.